We begin tonight with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau taking the stand in a public inquiry over his government's use of the Emergencies Act back in February.
Yeah, this long-awaited testimony centered around the days and moments leading up to the decision and the justification in doing so. Jason Gaidola joins us in studio tonight with the latest. Jason.
That's right, Matt. Canada's leader took the stand today saying that he had support from Cabinet, Intelligence Service, and the government's top public servant to invoke the Emergencies Act, leaving the decision in his hands. He says upon reflection and a lack of confidence from local law enforcement that he decided to invoke the act on February 14th, leaving no chance for any potential violence to unfold.
What if the worst had happened in those following days? What if when I had an opportunity to do something, I had waited and we had the unthinkable happen over the coming days?
That's what it came down to for Prime Minister Justin Trudeau to invoke the Federal Emergencies Act on February 14th. His attempt to end nationwide protests and blockades, a decision to leave no chance for violence.
The responsibility of a prime minister is to make the tough calls and keep people safe.
During the commission inquiry, Trudeau took the stand and testified, detailing some of his thinking and recollections leading up to his decision to halt convoy protesters in Ottawa and other parts of Canada. The night before his decision, meetings were held with Cabinet, Caucus, and the Incident Response Group, which included Canada's intelligence head, adding that there was no opposition regarding the use of the act.
What did you hear about whether or not people agreed with this interpretation, whether you should invoke the act?
Yes, there was consensus around the IRG table on Sunday the 13th. There was no voice saying, hold it, we don't think you should do this, or I don't think you should do this.
The next day, an undecided Trudeau then received a memo from the Privy Council clerk saying a threshold was met to invoke the order.
When that note came in, I made that final decision with all the conversations, all the inputs, and all the feedback that I'd gotten from caucus, from Cabinet, and from First Ministers and opposition leaders, and all the officials I'd talked to.
The Prime Minister's rationale centered around protest escalation and threats of violence. Trudeau says he was briefed on the police response and accused the Ottawa Police Service of losing control, saying the service did not have a real plan to shut down blockades. During cross-examination, counsel representing Ottawa Police exhibited a mobilization plan from local authorities that included deployment and investigative plans.
But as you can see here, there is a 73-page document dated February 13th that a senior member of the RCMP has signed off on.
I can't speak to whether this is a good plan or a complete plan or not. I haven't read this, obviously.
Right, and so you hadn't read it, obviously.
No,
then
I rely on the inputs of the experts around me to reassure me or not that there is a capacity to move forward.
Later on, a lawyer representing a freedom group questioned the Prime Minister about an alleged deal between protesters and Ottawa's mayor to end the blockades.
And at the IRG meeting, you were advised that there was a breakthrough agreement between the Mayor of Ottawa and the convoy organizers to move trucks out of the downtown residential areas. Isn't that correct?
That is not how I remember it.
Well, Tamara Leach, who's present here in this room, signed a letter. It was made publicly available on the news on Sunday, February 13th, and you were advised of that agreement at the IRG meeting.
And we were also advised that that agreement wasn't holding and that many of the convoy had decried it as fake news and not actually an agreement that they would abide by.
And you learned that on Twitter, is that correct?
No, we learned that at the IRG.
By whom?
By our elected officials.
Thanks.
Also, whatever legal analysis the government received before its decision to invoke the act will remain a mystery. The issue arose again today when Trudeau was asked to release that advice under cross-examination before a federal lawyer shut the request down. Later tonight, Trending Now's Nicole Martin will bring us more regarding the concerns of violence as well as Premier Doug Ford's response to the protest or lack thereof days prior.